Rule 4. Objects that move on their own after midnight must be returned to their original place immediately. I'm staring at a Victorian music box that just slid 3 feet across the counter by itself. It's 2:15 in the morning at Midnight Treasures Antique Shop in Salem, Massachusetts, and this is the 4th time tonight something has moved without being touched. My name is Vincent Carter, and I've been working the night shift here for 6 months. 6 months of following 10 rules that sound insane until you see what happens when you break them. I pick up the music box, it's ice cold despite the warm shop, and carry it back to its designated spot on the shelf marked Childhood Memories, 1920 to 1940. The moment I set it down, I hear a child's laughter echo from inside the box, even though it's closed. That's normal here. What's not normal is the woman who just walked through the front door at 2:17 in the morning, clutching a hospital bracelet and looking like she hasn't slept in weeks. "Excuse me," she calls out, her voice cracking. I heard you might have something that could help my daughter." I should explain the rules first. I should warn her, but the desperation in her voice reminds me why I'm here. My sister Emma needs $15,000 a month for treatments that insurance won't cover, and this job pays more in one night than most people make in a week. There's a reason for that. 6 months earlier, the owner handed me 10 brass plaques on my first night. She was ageless in that unsettling way some people are, with eyes that seemed to hold centuries of secrets and a smile that never quite reached those eyes. "Vincent," she said, her voice carrying echoes I couldn't identify, "these rules aren't suggestions. They're the only thing standing between our customers and something that feeds on human memory itself." The shop looked normal during the day. Dusty antiques, old furniture, the usual musty smell of age and neglect. But after midnight, everything changed. Objects glowed with inner light, mirrors reflected people who weren't there, and the massive grandfather clock in the center spun its hands backward, always stopping at 2:37. The 10 rules of Midnight Treasures. Rule 1. Never sell the object that glows brightest. It contains the most painful memory someone has tried to forget. Rule 2. If a customer asks for a specific object not on display, politely refuse. Some items are hidden because they're too dangerous to touch. Rule 3. If you hear voices whispering from the convex mirrors, don't look at your reflection. You might see versions of yourself that no longer exist. Rule 4. Objects that move on their own after midnight must be returned to their original place immediately. Don't ask why they moved. Rule 5. If a customer offers to trade a personal memory for an object, decline the offer. Memories are not currency here. They're food. Rule 6. Music boxes must never be opened after 2 in the morning. The melodies they play can trap your mind in loops of nostalgia until you forget who you are. Rule 7. If the central clock stops at any time other than 2:37, leave the shop immediately and don't return until dawn. Rule 8. Books that open by themselves show real stories of real people. Don't read more than 1 page, or you might get lost in someone else's history forever. Rule 9. If an object makes you remember something you shouldn't be able to remember, walk away immediately and don't touch it. Rule 10. If the owner disappears during your shift, don't search for glowing objects to comfort yourself. She'll return when the memories are safe. The woman approaching my counter now is Rebecca Thompson. though I don't know her name yet. What I do know is that she's breaking Rule 2 before she even speaks. I need something specific, she says, pulling out a crumpled photograph of a little girl with bright eyes and pigtails. My daughter Sophie, she's been in a coma for 3 months after a car accident. The doctors say, her voice breaks, they say there's nothing more they can do. I've seen this desperation before. It's what brought me here too, though my sister's condition is different. Emma's rare neurological disorder is eating away at her motor functions, and the experimental treatments are our only hope. Ma'am, I understand you're going through something terrible, but I can only show you what's on display. We don't keep special inventory. Please. Rebecca's eyes are red-rimmed, desperate. I've heard stories about this place, about objects that can perform miracles. I'll pay anything. Before I can respond, the owner materializes from the shadows between the antique wardrobes. She doesn't walk. She flows, like smoke given form. Mrs. Thompson, the owner says, and I'm not surprised she knows Rebecca's name. She always knows. You're looking for hope in the wrong places. Then show me the right place, Rebecca pleads. I've tried everything else. Prayer, specialists, experimental treatments. Nothing works. Sophie just lies there, and every day she gets a little further away from me. The owner's smile never wavers, but something shifts in her ancient eyes. Hope has a price, Mrs. Thompson. Are you prepared to pay it? I want to intervene, to warn Rebecca about what happens to people who make deals here, but I've seen what the owner can do to employees who interfere. Marcus, my predecessor, tried to warn a customer once. They found his uniform folded neatly in the break room the next morning, but Marcus himself was gone. When I asked about him, the owner just smiled and pointed to a new snow globe on the shelf, one that showed a tiny figure trapped inside, eternally walking through a miniature blizzard. Rebecca nods eagerly. Anything. I'll do anything. The owner glides toward the back of the shop, where the brightest objects are kept. Rebecca follows like a moth drawn to flame, and I trail behind, my stomach churning with dread. This, the owner says, stopping before a display case I've never seen opened, is what you're looking for. Inside the case sits a small golden music box, no bigger than my palm, but it radiates warmth and light like a miniature sun. Even through the glass, I can hear faint music, a lullaby that makes my chest ache with longing for something I can't name. It's beautiful, Rebecca whispers, pressing her hands against the glass. It feels familiar. It should, the owner replies. This music box contains the last happy memory of 7-year-old Clara Whitmore, who died in 1953. Clara was in a coma for 2 weeks before she passed. In her final moments, she remembered her mother singing this lullaby, and that memory was so powerful, so pure, that it transcended death itself. Rebecca's breathing quickens. You're saying this could help Sophie remember? Could help her wake up? I'm saying this memory has the power to call souls back from the edge of oblivion. But Clara's memory comes with Clara's pain, Clara's fear, Clara's final moments. Touch this box, and you don't just get the miracle, you get everything that came with it. I step forward, finally finding my voice. Rebecca, don't. Rule 1 exists for a reason. The brightest objects contain the most painful memories, Rebecca finishes. I heard you the first time, But my daughter is dying, Vincent. If there's even a chance this could save her, I have to try. She reaches for the case's latch. Wait, I say, grabbing her wrist. The moment I touch her, I'm hit with a flood of her memories. Sophie's first steps, her first word, the sound of screeching brakes and shattering glass, the beeping of hospital machines. Rebecca's love for her daughter is so intense, it's almost physical, a burning in my chest that makes me understand why she's willing to risk anything. But I also see what she doesn't, the shadow lurking behind her desperation, feeding on it, growing stronger with every tear she sheds. There's something else you should know, I tell her, not releasing her wrist. The owner isn't human. She's something that feeds on memories, especially painful ones. That music box isn't just Clara's last happy memory. It's bait. Rebecca jerks her hand away. You're lying. You're trying to keep it for yourself. I'm trying to save you from making the same mistake I almost made. I turn to face the owner, whose smile has become predatory. Tell her the truth. Tell her what really happens when someone touches that box. The owner's form begins to shift, the elegant facade melting away to reveal something ancient and hungry underneath. Her skin becomes translucent, showing a network of golden threads beneath, threads that pulse with stolen memories. Very well, she says, her voice now a chorus of every person she's ever consumed. The truth, Mrs. Thompson, is that I am the memory collector. I've existed for centuries, feeding on the memories that humans try to forget. This shop is my web, and every object here is a trap baited with hope. Rebecca backs away, but the owner continues, her form growing larger, more terrible. Your daughter isn't just in a coma. She's caught between worlds, her soul partially detached from her body. The music box could indeed call her back, but only by replacing her memories with Clara's. Sophie would wake up, but she wouldn't be Sophie anymore. She'd be Clara, trapped in a strange body, in a strange time, forever searching for a mother who died 70 years ago. And you, dear Rebecca, would become part of my collection. Your love for Sophie, your desperation, your hope, all of it would feed me for decades. Rebecca looks at me with wild eyes. There has to be another way. You said you have a sister who's sick. How can you work here knowing what she is? I've been asking myself the same question for 6 months. Every night, I watch the owner feed on desperate people while I count the money that pays for Emma's treatments. I've become complicit in something monstrous. And the worst part is that I'm not sure I can stop. Because I'm weak, I admit. Because I need the money. And I've been telling myself that as long as I follow the rules, I'm not really part of it. But even as I say it, I know it's not true anymore. Tonight, something has changed. Maybe it's seeing Rebecca's desperation mirror my own, or maybe it's finally understanding that the owner doesn't just feed on her victims, she feeds on everyone who enables her. There's another way, I tell Rebecca, an idea forming, but it means breaking every rule in this place. The owner's laugh is like breaking glass. Vincent, dear boy, you can't fight me. I've consumed the memories of thousands. I know every thought in your head, every fear in your heart. Maybe, I say, moving toward the display case, but you don't know what I'm willing to sacrifice. I smash the glass with my elbow, ignoring the pain as shards slice my arm. The music box sits there, glowing brighter now that it's exposed to air. I can hear Clara's lullaby more clearly, a haunting melody that speaks of love and loss and the terrible weight of unfinished business. "Vincent, don't!" Rebecca shouts. "She said it would trap you." "Not if I go in willingly," I reply, reaching for the box. "Not if I choose to become the guardian instead of the victim." The moment my fingers touch the golden surface, I'm pulled into Clara's memory. But instead of being overwhelmed by it, I embrace it consciously. I feel her fear, her pain, her love for her mother, but I also feel my own love for Emma, my determination to protect Rebecca, my rage at the owner's manipulation. The memory doesn't consume me, it strengthens me. Through Clara's eyes, I see the truth about the memory collector. She wasn't always a monster. Once she was human, a woman who lost her own child and made a deal to bring him back. But the price was her humanity. And over the centuries, she's become addicted to the very pain she once sought to escape. "I can end this," I tell Rebecca, my voice echoing strangely as I exist in both the present and Clara's past. "But I need you to trust me." Rebecca nods, tears streaming down her face. I turn to the owner, who's watching with fascination rather than fear. "You're hungry, aren't you?" "Always hungry, because stolen memories never truly satisfy. They're just echoes of real emotion." "What are you proposing?" she asks. "A trade. Not Rebecca's memories, not Sophie's life, but something else. Something you've never tasted before." "Which is?" "Forgiveness." I reach deeper into Clara's memory, past the fear and pain, to the moment of her death. But instead of the terror I expected, I find something else. Forgiveness for the drunk driver who hit her, understanding for her mother's grief, acceptance of her own fate. Clara died at peace, and that peace is the most powerful memory in the box. I offer it to the owner, not as food, but as a gift. "This is what you've been searching for all these centuries. Not more pain to consume, but the peace that comes from letting go." The owner's form begins to change again, the hungry darkness receding as Clara's forgiveness flows into her. For the first time in centuries, she remembers what it feels like to be human. I had forgotten," she whispers, her voice now just her own. "I had forgotten what it felt like to be at peace." The shop around us begins to change. The oppressive atmosphere lifts, the objects stop glowing with malevolent light, and the grandfather clock's hands begin moving forward for the first time in decades. "The memories," the owner says, looking around at her collection, "they're not trapped anymore. They're free to return to their rightful owners or pass on to whatever comes next." Rebecca gasps as a warm light envelops her. "Sophie," she whispers, "I can feel her. She's coming back." Through the shop's windows, dawn is breaking over Salem. The memory collector's reign is ending, but something new is beginning. "What happens now?" I ask. The owner, no longer the owner, just a woman who's been lost for too long, smiles sadly. "Now I face the consequences of what I've done, and you, Vincent, you become the new guardian of this place, not to trap memories, but to help them find their way home." I feel the change happening inside me, but it's not the monstrous transformation I expected. Instead, I'm becoming something like a lighthouse keeper, guiding lost memories back to where they belong. "And Emma?" I ask. "Your sister will recover," the former owner says. "Not because of magic or stolen memories, but because love like yours has its own power to heal." As the sun rises, Rebecca hurries toward the door, eager to return to the hospital where Sophie is waking up. The former owner fades away like morning mist, finally at peace. I'm alone in the shop now, surrounded by objects that no longer glow with malevolent light, but with the warm radiance of memories ready to return home. It's not the ending I expected, but it's the one we all needed. Every night now, I help people find not the memories they think they want, but the ones they actually need. Sometimes that's a moment of joy from childhood. Sometimes it's the courage to let go of pain. And sometimes it's simply the understanding that some things are worth fighting for. The 10 rules still hang on the wall, but they've changed. Now they read more like guidelines for healing than warnings about danger. Because I've learned that the most powerful memory isn't the one that traps you in the past. It's the one that gives you strength to face the future. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because next week I'm taking you to a place where the most dangerous shift isn't the graveyard shift, it's the midnight shift at Riverside General Hospital, where rule number 1 is never, under any circumstances, answer when someone calls your name from room 237, because that room has been empty for 20 years.